Phoneme placement therapy is specific to isolated phonemes that the client may not have in their repertoire and/or may need help with articulating smoother. This approach is widely known as a traditional articulation therapy approach. It has been proved highly beneficial and successful with individuals with articulation errors. However, it does take longer to see progression with this method in comparison to other speech sound techniques. The phonemes k and g are known as velar palatal steps. This means that the sounds are produced by the posterior or back portion of your tongue elevating to the top of the soft palate, or velum of the mouth. There are different ways to approach a client to produce this sound. One particular way is using a tactile cue. One tactile cue is to use a tongue depressor to hold down the anterior, the front portion of the tongue, down. The client is then encouraged to produce a cough for the posterior tongue to lift up. Another tactile cue may be used to have the client hold their jaw open to remind them that it needs to be open when they produce this sound.
Good. Can I see you put your hands on your throat and go, perfect. Okay, now next we're going to do the letter G. What sound does the letter G make?
G.
G. Good. Now let's put our hands to our throat so we can feel our, and go, G. G. Very nice. Okay.
Here is a list of some other verbal, visual, and tactile cues used to elicit the k and g sound. Children must gain sufficient motor control over the primary speech organs, identified by the tongue, lips, vocal folds, and velum, in order to make full use of their language's phonetic inventory. Liquids, being ul and are typically later developing sounds due to physiological development. These sounds are both known as lingual articulators, meaning articulatory gestures and movements are used by the tongue. To produce the phoneme ul, it is important for a client to be aware of the tongue placement. The tip of the tongue is placed on the alveolar ridge of the mouth, which can be identified as the bumpy part behind the top of your front teeth. The client's voice must be turned on to create this sound.
The next sound we're going to do is L. Good. So we get our tongue out, touch the behind our teeth on the bumpy part.
La.
Good. Do it again.
La.
Very nice. Okay.
One way to elicit the sound is to start with the phoneme ul. The client would put the tip of their tongue at the alveolar ridge, turn their voice on, and produce the ul sound. The client would then slowly bring the tongue tip back towards the velum, and the sound should transition into the It should sound something like this. Because R is commonly co-articulated with a vowel, you can focus on R being in initial position through retroflex or bunch techniques. Bunch technique is when the tongue is bunched in the back of the mouth, touching the molars, and airstream is released over the top of the tongue. Retroflex techniques has the tongue tip towards the alveolar ridge or the tongue tip down towards the lower teeth, and the airstream is released over the top of the tongue.
L for lion. Good. La. Very nice. Now we're gonna do What letter says
R.
R. Very nice. Let me hear your Let me hear a big Nice job.
When teaching these sounds, remember to individualize each technique to your client and find what is best suited for them.